Hello there, seventh graders, ladies and gentlemen. We are working on complex fractions today. Okay, this is part of needing to do the fraction part with some division. We'll do some multiplication. We'll get all sorts of things worked out. Okay, so kind of still goes with computing our unit rates. Okay, because not all the time is it going to be an integer. Sometimes it's going to be fractions, mixed numbers. So we need to know how to do the division like the way that we set up our unit rate. Okay, so here's the notes. Now, if you were in class, you got some of these from your teacher, so you can do your notes on the paper if you wish. All right, so multiplying and dividing fractions review. This part we should all know how to do, but let's do a quick review. It'd be good for us anyways. Okay, so remember when we multiply fractions, we actually multiply them all the way across. So it's kind of like having 3 times 4 over 8 times 9. Okay, but when we do these, we can also look for those little keys of what can be cross-canceled. Then we don't have to multiply such big numbers. Like 3, 4, 8, 9, they're not that bad, and it wouldn't be that bad to have to reduce later. But, when we get to larger numbers, it is going to be harder. So when I look at 3 and 9, I'm actually thinking, all right, so what number can go into these? So I really want to divide both by 3, okay? That gives me then really, as I'm going to rewrite it a little bit here, a 1, and then my 9 becomes a 3. So that's where those come from. Okay. For my 4 and 8, well, I know 4 can go into 8. So I'm going to divide both by 4. And then that gives me a 1 here, and then 4 going to 8 twice. So I really only have a 1/2 equals, or not equals, times 1/3. 1/6. That's a lot easier than trying to figure out what 12 over 72 would reduce to. Okay, because then you would have to figure out, ooh, can 12 go into 72? If you don't know your multiplication facts that high, that can take a little bit longer to figure out. That's where this cross-reducing, cross-canceling comes into great play. Okay? Alrighty then. We need to then go over, change my page on me. Proto technology is not being my friend today. So, okay. So then when we have this one over here, we need to actually go into it, and we remember we cannot multiply by mixed numbers. So we have to come in here and do that Concord C. Take your 2 times 2 and then add your 1. That's 4. So we really have 5 halves times, and then take our 1 times 5 and add 1 to get 6 fifths. So then what I want to do is look across. Well, can 2 and 6 have something in common? Yes, they can both be divided by 2. So if I divide both by 2, by 2, all right, that means I really now have this fraction going on of 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay. Then we can look, what about 5 and 5? That's the same number, so we can divide both by 5. Divide both by 5, and they both become a 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1, so 3 is our answer. Okay, that's a lot easier than trying to figure out, if we had larger numbers. Okay, so now we're going to do our division of fractions. Okay, remember multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so I really have to take my 1/12 times 1/15. No! Yeah. One moment. 15 over 1. Okay. Now I could just go ahead and multiply and try to reduce, or because I know my math facts, I know both of these can be divided by 3. So then I really have 1 over 4 times 5 over 1, which then gives me 5/4. And remember, we don't give our answers in improper fractions. 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over. Okay. All right, so let's look at 5/6 divided by 2 and 1/7. Remember, before we do anything, we have to turn this 2 and 1/7 into an improper fraction, and then that's what we are going to multiply the reciprocal by. So 5/6 times, I know 7 is going to go on top because it's on the bottom right now. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So then we can look. Now, not every time are you going to be able to cross reduce. Like the 6 and 7 here, I cannot do anything with those. They have no common factors. But 5 and 15 do. So I'm going to cross reduce those. That's a 1. And then 15 divided by 5 is a 3. Now we can go ahead. 1 times 7, and then 6 times 3 is our 18. So 7/18. Okay. So things to remember when we are multiplying by fractions. Okay. Remember, mixed numbers. Mixed numbers must be turned into improper fractions. Okay. Try cross canceling with common factors. This saves you trouble from reducing. And another thing to remember when we're dividing, you gotta multiply by the reciprocal. May have misspelled that. Let's check. Critical spell check. Yep. The reciprocal. What does that mean in 7th grade terms? You gotta flip the denominator. And multiply. Okay. A lot of you may remember that as the keep, change, flip method from 6th grade. All right, let's go down to the next part. Okay, complex fractions. Complex fractions are the Big Mac of fractions. You got big sections of it. The numerator and denominator are both also fractions. That's why you got the big part. Okay, so think of the part of the bun, the middle part of the Big Mac. So a complex fraction is simplified when both numerator and denominator are integers. Okay, so that's what we're always trying to look for. So when we think about the Big Mac, see this big bar right here? Let's highlight that big bar. See this right here? That is, woo, your division sign right there. Okay, this here, it normally sticks out more than these little ones. That's how you know what you're dividing by. So if I was to rewrite this before I can do my multiplying by the reciprocal, is 1/4 divided by 1/3. Then we can go in and actually do our math work with it. Okay. So now I can take my 1/4 times 3/1 to get 3/4. Then, of course, word problems are always going to come in play, especially since we have unit rates. Okay, so Josiah can jog 1 1/3 miles in 1/4 hour. Find his average speed in miles per hour. Okay, so we need to write the ratio. Okay, the ratio, remember, is where we're comparing the two different units. So our ratio is miles over the hour. Okay, well, what did we have for our miles? Well, we had, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this into the improper fraction, which is 4/3. And I'm going to make my fraction bar even bigger. And our hours 1/4. Okay, so it's really like saying I have 4/3 divided by 1/4. But we know that's not what I can do. I really have to take my 4/3 times 4/1. Okay, because remember, we're multiplying now by the reciprocal. So then I look, I can't cross cancel anything. 1 and 3 are prime numbers, and if they cannot go into the numbers that are across from it diagonally, then there is no cross canceling to be done. So I get 16/3, which really is 5 1/3. And then remember, what do we have? Miles per hour. Put your MPH. And it's a word problem. So of course we need to answer it in sentence form. So Josiah dogs an average of 5 1/3 miles per hour. There we go. We got her done. Okay, so now we have guided practice. There are 6 problems. I am going to do the right side with you. Okay, if you feel like you are strong enough and you want to pause this and do them on your own and then check them, feel free to do that. But I will say 1 and 7 can be tricky because if you notice, there are whole numbers. Whole number in the numerator, whole number in the denominator. And what have we always said goes under a whole number? 1. Okay, so it is really a 2/3 times, and then go ahead and flip your fraction to 1/7. Now 7 and 2 have nothing in common for a factor, they're both primes, so we get 2/21. There's our answer. Okay, 14/1 divided by 7/9 is your next one. Okay, think of this as your division bar. Is 6/7 divided by 1/5, which really is 6/7 times 5/1. Notice it is always the second and the bottom one that gets flipped over because that's your denominator. That's what we're multiplying the reciprocal by. So we get 37. All right, so how many times can this go? Let's do our computation now. 30 divided by 7. Well, not 5, but 4 times. Minus 28, that's 2. Okay, whatever you get on top is your whole number. Whatever you have for remaining is your numerator, and our denominator stays the same. So there is our final answer, 4 2/7. All right, word problems. Remember, use your cubes. Circle numbers, underline keywords, box in the question, and eliminate anything extra they give you. So there are 2 cars being filled with gas. Gas enters the first car at a rate of 2/3 gallons per 1/4 minute. Gas pours into the second car at a rate of 3/4 gallons per 1/6 minute. Determine which car will be filled faster. So that's our question. Which one's faster? Okay, so we actually have to do two different ratios because we are comparing to find out which one is faster. Both of them will be written as gallons over your minutes. So notice I have already two different parts set up for car 1 and car 2. So car 1, we said, was our gallons of 2/3 gallons, and we are dividing that by our 1/4, which really means we're taking 2/3 times 4/1 with nothing to be reduced, so we get 8/3. I'm gonna leave it like that right now because in case the other car doesn't have the same denominator, we can find a common denominator a lot easier and then compare them even faster. Because that's what we're looking for, to see which one is faster. Car 2 is the 3/5 divided by 1/6 because we have our gallons of 3/5 divided by divided by, what was our minutes on that one? 1/6 with our minutes of 1/6. That really means I'm taking 3/5 times, writing a little sloppy, 3/5 times 6/1. Okay, 3 times 6 is, I know in your head you said 18. All right, so notice now they do not have common denominators, so we cannot just assume it is car 2. Okay, we can actually come through and compare these. Well, 3 and 5, common denominator is 15. So times 5 times 5, I get 40 to 40 over 15 times 3 times 3. I know 40 is going on the bottom, or not 40, 15 is going on the bottom. 15, and then what is 18 times 3? 18 times 3, 24, 3, 4, 5, 54. So which one has the higher numerator, 40 or 54? So we'd say car 2. Oh wait, no, we don't. Which one is, yeah, which one is going to fill faster? So fill faster because it has a higher unit rate. And this time we went for the higher one instead of the lower because we're trying to fill something. We're not talking about just the speed. We want to see which one's going to get the most gallons in a minute. Okay, and that was car 2. All right, so you have 3 problems left. Know you can do this. Look at the examples right across from it. Okay, and then for number 5, remember to set up everything, and you want to do miles per hour. Okay, and remember, turn that into improper fraction. All right, have a great weekend.